Give it up for yourself! 踏み込もうぜアクセル駆け引き When I saw so だよ夜をめくろう2歩も最後に差し引きゼロさそうだよ一品を削ろう道路外開いてけどよしそうぜたら不動よきっとさうよもっとさOne more time guys, let's go! 生きそうで引っ張ったぜ眉が言うとだよ前よりフットのノックへ伸ばしたぜ掴んだぜ気にならないなら言わないのさだから買うしかなかったいつを思うと鬼になれた君の時代を塗りつぶす手のビレコよMake some noise for yourself, baby!
Thank you so much for watching the entire music video. If you made it to the end, I sincerely appreciate it. We're going to be playing again at the same venue that you saw us playing right now on March 1st in Connecticut.
お先に失礼します。なるほどです。恐れ入ります。恐れ入ります。お先に失礼します。噛み続ける重力感に憂鬱ワクワクにぶちよう遊びたいかましたいまだに私やのわからない探り合ってご愛席どうも目と目合わてここからが勝負そかせるようなんて I don't know 立ち上がるを先に失礼します エコエコちゃんとする大人でエコエコもっとする子供ってミルクミルクねえ甘ったれてるようにまるでキャンディペンティーのタイムパンチたたいよスリルが醍醐味すぎてて何よりすなんだキラキサキ大体放題大体甘い大体大体バイバイ変で乗り先取り飲みにジャーニーステップアップシャウブラッシュアップシャウ世界バーキに目がラブは目から何でもする頭ペコペコ笑顔が流儀馴染めない
Yo, yo, yo!
特撮美女なり上がろうよ立ち上がるを
Champ, you ready?
先に失礼します
Are you all ready? Welcome, guys, to South Sound Podcast. We're talking about our favorite musicians from all over the world. We got some interesting stories to talk about, to say the least. And we were completely wrong about Visual Kei. Well, I was, at least. You guys probably already knew. But we're going to talk about this video with Miyave where he describes what Visual Kei is all about, which was very fascinating. I'll leave the links for all the articles that we're talking about today. But, guys, if you could do me a huge favor, please like this video and engage in the comments. It seriously helps push this video out to others and let people know that we're doing this show live every Sunday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So, welcome. Hey, champ, how you doing?
What up, Alan?
Are you live? Or kind of
I
live?
think so.
Your facial hair is
Alive
growing
or
in nice.
alive? Yeah, I actually had to shave it again because it was all fucking patchy, bro. I'm scared that now that the
Hello,
beard is gone, it's
motherfucker.
never gonna cut. Hey,
Cynical
What's
just
up,
going, hey, what's up, Cynical?
what's up, cynical? Hey, we just watched a video you like.
Yeah, we just did your reaction, by the way. I'll have that posted for you later.
What was the name of the band?
Autozome, which is definitely going to be on
Autozome.
my top 10 never, that top 10 Japanese bands you should know about. All right. That's coming on next week's show. Okay. We're going to have it. We're going to have some samples of music. We're going to be showing Champ the top 10 bands that we think he should go check out from Japan. So
Especially if you like skateboarding. If you like skateboarding or snowboarding or something, that's a band for you right there.
and that's the funny thing with Autozome, like the one song you heard, you already know this is going to come, man. You already know this is coming. Dude, you're not going to be surprised by this, but that's probably the only song that sounds like that.
Yeah, shockingly, these Japanese bands, they don't play the same sound every single time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Amazing, because if you were to listen to music over here, you would think like, 5 albums in a row of Ariana Grande, you'd be like, oh, maybe she would switch up her sound a little bit. But no, you go over to Japan, it's like every song is different, even on the album.
But the main constant with this band is the singer. The singer is everything, I think, from Autozome. She really pulls me in. And the bassist like drove this song that we just checked out. And like I say, guys, if you want to support us further, check out the Patreon. We'll have the reaction up for early access. It'll be up later. Shout out to Cynical. He's the one who requested it. So thank you so much. You can hear all of our thoughts on there, but it will be posted on the channel soon. I don't even know where to start with these articles, man. You want to talk about Disturbed, like burning down a venue or trying to burn down a venue?
Well, I did hear about that one in passing, but I haven't read up on it. So if you want to tell me more information about it, I would love to give my 2 cents.
So it's exaggerating a little bit, okay? Disturbed show caused some destruction. During Disturbed's concert on March 8th, the band's pyrotechnic effects damaged the Chicago Bulls championship banners hanging in the arena. The United Center displays these banners as a tribute to the team's 6 NBA championships when Michael Jordan was their star basketball player in the 90s. The banners hung high in the rafters of the arena, but the heat from the pyrotechnics was strong enough to impact them. The arena spokesperson confirmed that the banners had been removed for repairs. I don't even know how the fuck you go about repairing that, but reassured the public that they would be restored to the original location before the next NBA season. In my head, I'm like, yeah, they're going to make new ones or what?
Yeah, there's no way you can repair a banner. But regardless, I feel like when you first hear about a story like this, at least for me, my first thought is like, Jesus Christ, how did they not have like the safety protocols to ensure that this doesn't happen? But then I think about it like a little further as like, this is a metal band going into like a stadium and burning down the ceiling. And I just think, God, that is so fucking metal. Like, this is the most metal thing that Disturbed has ever done in their lives. It was an accident, but it's as metal as Disturbed
It's
gets.
a pretty dumb accident, in my opinion, because as a stage manager, you should be knowing what's happening with a concert and what they're going to be set up. And I think the comment section picked up on that pretty well. One of the top comments here by Alexander here is like, here's a dumb question. Why didn't they just take them down before the show? Yeah, why didn't they? Because you would absolutely know that they have pyrotechnics. It's not, you have to get a code or some license from even the fire department, or you have to be following certain codes in the venue when you do anything with pyrotechnics. So they knew there's going to be fucking fire shooting up everywhere. And they didn't think, hey, we have all these banners hanging around. It might be a good idea to like roll them up and put them away. You know?
This was Chicago, you said, right?
Yeah, Chicago.
Yeah, it's actually pretty surprising. For a long time, they didn't even let pyrotechnics inside at these stadium shows. For like, there was like a good, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years there in recent memory where they just weren't having that in a lot of venues in America, even though they were still allowing it, like, you know, overseas and stuff like that. But they've recently made it like it's become really common again to just have like pyro inside. So I guess they've like become more lax on it, but it doesn't seem like it's even the pyro that was the issue in this situation. It was the heat from the pyro that was so insanely hot that something caught on fire without even having a fire in the first place, which is like, it's a little harder to like predict that happening. You know, like this is now a climate control issue, you know, where it's like the ozone layer is collapsing and now it's going to start fires at the bottom of this, at the top of the ceiling.
I want everyone to put their best Disturbed puns, okay? Put your best Disturbed puns in the chat for me. We got one in the comment section on this video. It's like, it stupefies me that the banners weren't behind glass. I don't know. That's pretty weak one though. I don't know.
I mean,
that's pretty weak. Why was that upvoted so much? I don't even understand.
That's low hanging fruit right there. Whoever said that, buddy.
Who's got a clever one?
I will say, to be fair though, like I don't know enough about Disturbed songs to even make a good pun.
That's a good point. I like Disturbed for like 5 seconds. And then
you know what
his voice got on my nerves like immediately afterwards. I'm sorry to any Disturbed fans, but I just can't get into them.
Dude, it sounds the same in every song. But the thing is, he's such a great vocalist. So when he actually has the opportunity,
he is a great vocalist.
Vocals, he's one of the best out there, like legitimately. And I loved them for the idea of just like, I mean, they were bringing like quote unquote metal into the mainstream scene, which is like, yeah, it's less. It's less metal-y than the metal that I generally listen to, but it's still cool to have like that sort of access route from like the underground into the mainstream. So I respect like them and System of a Down and bands like that for being able to do stuff like that. But I mean, you can't tell me that all their hit singles don't sound like variations of the same song over and over again. My favorite song from them is that Genesis cover that they did.
And to be fair, Disturbed made a transition from new metal into like metal. You know, and like more hard rock stuff. They did like grow out of their
I would
metal
agree with
shell.
That
you know,
I think they've gone more into the hard rock route.
Yeah,
which is fine. Like that's good for them. Not my type of music. Honestly, like all the stuff that they do when it comes to like slowing stuff down is when I find them the most appealing. What's that? They did that one song. Hello, darkness, my old friend.
That's a cover too, isn't that like?
Yeah,
Garfunkel or something. I don't remember.
Garfunkel and Oates.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I was like, I don't know if I got that right. Sound of Silence. Yeah.
Wait, no, not Garfunkel and Oates.
Garfunkel and Oates. I think we mixed two bands.
Garfunkel and Oates is the parody band that those two girls did.
Simon and Garfunkel. There we go.
Simon and Garfunkel. I like Garfunkel and Oates better. I'll just throw that out there.
Hey, we can be Garfunkel and Oates. Let's do it.
No. Garfunkel and Oates actually exists.
Oh, it actually exists. Oh, that
like
sucks.
It's Kate Micucci and Ricky,
what is the name? Sorry,
Kate Micucci.
Okay, I heard something. I heard something.
She knows what her name sounds like. She's done interviews on it.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's these two actresses that came together and they have a song called "The Loophole."
Gotcha.
I very much recommend checking it out. It's about having anal sex so that you could trick God.
It's highly recommended. It's a top classic for Champ.
Highly recommended. I remember showing my son that song when he was like 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Good times.
All right.
Yeah,
well, this guy here says, I was at the show. I didn't even realize the heat warped or damaged the banners. But to be fair, I was too busy being mesmerized by the show. I'm honestly surprised the venue or organizing staff didn't take them down or roll them up for the show, considering they had to know that Disturbed was going to have a ton of pyro in their set. I just hope this doesn't get put on the band and they are expected to pay for the damages, because this is definitely the fault of the organizers not thinking this through. And I agree. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Yeah. Like the organizers fucked up here.
Yeah, it's definitely
the
not the
manager's
band's fault.
fucked up. All right, this is not on the band. I don't think this would fall on the band, in my opinion. Normally, it is the managers that will get reamed. Someone got fired. I'm just saying, someone got fired from that gig. 100%. Like,
Unless somebody said to
you
them,
sent
like, hey,
Chicago Bulls banners on fire. The people that live there are probably pissed.
Right? Yeah, because like I mean, we're talking about like Michael Jordan, like these are like historic. These are almost like historic documents that have been burned like in front of the world, right? So it's like I get the sentiment, but yeah, like I mean, unless somebody came up to like friggin' the guys in the band and were like, "Hey man, listen, we got to turn down this pyro," and they were like, "No, fuck you, we're metal." Like there's then it has nothing to do with them. It's complete.
Janine says they can be remade, but I don't.
Management.
Janine says they can be remade. I don't know. Like people will be like, but it's not the original one. It's not the one made in the '90s when it was actually made. Right? Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem. It's a recreation. Which yes, people are gonna forget.
All right, let's talk about an artist I do like. Okay, NINI Music. You checked them out for the very first time. What are your overall thoughts on it? And I'm curious on what songs you actually checked out, if you remember. But yeah, go ahead.
The names. Well, it was the one that you sent me, which was let's see,
the new single. Yeah, their new
Breaking
single.
the Chains.
Yeah.
So I listened to that and the cover of Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Okay.
So I don't know what the rest of their music sounds like, so it's hard to like draw like any kind of like comparison to what their sound would normally be versus what this song sounded like, the Breaking the Chain song. Is this generally like their sound, their vibe?
No, it's not. Like she does like some kind of rap thing in this one, which I thought was interesting. That's why I was like, check out the new single first because it has elements that she uses in all the other songs. I definitely think there's better songs, in my opinion, but that was a very diverse song. And the mix has gotten way better now that she has a band included. And I don't remember if they played that one live. Janine, you were with me. Did they play that song live? I don't remember if she played it live. I think she did. I think she did play it live. And I already forgot.
So she recently got a band together. Like she didn't have a band before.
I think it was in the past couple years she's gotten it together. So when I say recent, I say that very vaguely. Like it's been a little bit. It's been in the works. Very fascinating interview. If you want to learn more about the band, check out my interview with NINI Music and the band. It was really in-depth interview, and they really explained a lot of things and how they got together.
So what's is she playing a banjo? What's she playing in that video?
It's I forget the name. It's she uses Chinese
traditional Japanese.
Chinese traditional instruments, and because she's coming from Taiwan, and she uses. Cool. And the fascinating part that she mentions in the interview is that she uses one of the instruments that they don't often use in Taiwan. That's what she was mentioning to me in the interview. She said she wants to make it popular, and that's why she really focuses on using that one in particular.
Interesting. It actually sounds a lot like a Korean instrument that they use, relatively consistently as like background noise in Korean songs nowadays. But it's a really cool sound. I've always been a fan of that, like when you could hear the pluck in stringed instruments. So like, when somebody has a violin and they start plucking it, or even like a harp or something like that. And you get the same sensation with this, where it's like you get that extra sense of like percussiveness. Yep. When you hear a pluck. And I love that. I love that it just kind of it gives it a little bit more of an edge. I liked her vocals. The song itself came across to me as like if they were going to make, like, let's say they were going to make like a sequel to Rocky, another sequel to Rocky, and set it in Taiwan. This would be like the theme song for it. Like it felt very much like we can make like, there could be an action scene going on in the back while this song is playing in front of you. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a cool song. I would definitely want to hear more though.
Yeah, we'll come back next week. We'll talk about some other songs. I would love to hear your suggestions down below. Just drop us a bunch of comments, like which song do you think Champ should check out next by NINI Music. We would love to know.
Probably. Yeah. See, somebody's saying she was on America Got Talent, and like that's actually kind of. I would like to see her perform live. Just the song itself gave the sense that she seems more like a live performer than anything else.
My only gripe with the live performance was the mix of it. Of course, everyone's gonna fucking flame me for that one, but the guitars were too low. I felt like they should have been louder. But when I did the interview, afterwards, it made sense why they were lower, because Nene was saying it's really hard to get the traditional instruments to be out front. But I also was thinking in my head, I'm like, but I wonder if they tried certain mixing techniques that was in my head that they could have done to like oomph the guitars, but still put the main traditional instrument to the forefront and still make it here. Because it is hard, it is hard to mix traditional instruments with distorted guitar. So I think for what they had, it sounded good. It sounded good. I didn't feel like they were a little too low. You could hear a lot of the drums. Are you talking about the America's Got Talent? I'm talking about the live performance. The live performance. So America's Got Talent is just her, right, guys? Just her, not the full. I haven't even seen a performance. Maybe we should check that out.
So you interviewed her, right?
Yeah.
You talked to her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I always have this question whenever I see like a quote unquote solo artist. What is their, it's hard to actually articulate, but like what is their goal for how they want to be perceived? Do they want to be perceived as a solo artist who has like, people around them working with them, or do they want to be perceived as like a band? Because generally speaking, what you end up having with like a solo artist is the instrumentation in the back starts to come down a little bit.
Yes.
And you get more of a feature on that like main star of the group, where like their vocals might be a little bit louder. Like, listen to somebody like Otto or something like that. The mix is different than if it was just like Nemophila or something like that, right? So it's like, what does she want? What is she looking for? Is she looking for that band sound, or is she looking for that like focused featured solo act sound?
Well, that new song that they just released, right? I thought that was a very good balance of a mix. I thought that was a way better balance of a mix, and highlighting her voice, the traditional instrument, and the guitar sounded beefier than prior ones. Well, what did you think? I know you haven't heard the other ones. What did you think of that? Like, since you just heard that new song,
the mix for Breaking the Chains.
Yeah,
I thought it sounded good.
Right? Nothing was lacking. I didn't feel.
It didn't sound like a solo artist mix either. It sounded more like a band artist mix to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that ends up changing when you go live with solo artists a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think it'll get better. I think there is a way to do it. They're gonna have to do a lot of things where you bust certain tracks into one track and do some compression, so it'll bring those lower sounds louder, and it could like keep everything even, and it'll get better. I don't know how many tours they've done. I think they've only done a few, if I'm not mistaken. So it's always a learning curve. It's always gonna get better.
The mix in this music video was I wouldn't have changed anything myself.
And the music video is perfect.
Felt really good about it.
Yeah, the music video was perfect, I thought. I'm it's one of those things you see where when you go check them out again, you're always going to see improvement with those bands, or like, the people that just saw Disturbed, I'm sure that was fucking phenomenal, but they've been touring for years. They got that shit down. They got the right people behind them, managing them. We got to remember, NINI Music's still pretty independent, I mean, they have a manager and stuff like that, but they don't have, I don't think they had a designated sound person. Normally bands will get a designated sound person eventually. Like when I went on tour with Edge of Paradise and Firewind, they all have their own sound guy, and they know exactly how to manipulate their sound. And that's very common practice when you're going on tour. You have a sound guy with you, which is awesome, which is so nice.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that she's got a lot of promise. Like, I want to hear more from her. I want to hear like the different types of stuff that goes on with her writing. She's writing the music, I'm guessing.
She's writing with the band. They all play a part in the writing, is what they said during the interview. Yep. All
right. I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's kind of always how
you can tell like with that new song too that everyone just had a part, and I think it's mainly the other singer, Jesse, the other singer, who's a great vocalist, by the way. Woo! I was impressed, because you hear vocalists go from screaming to clean in recordings, right? And you're like, that's pretty good. It kind of reminded me when I saw Phil Labonte from All That Remains, and he completely butchered the shit out of it when he was first learning how to do clean vocals. He completely he didn't have it down yet. I think he has it down better now. He has it down better now. But with so I was wondering if I was gonna get the same thing with Jesse. Nope, he fucking nailed it. And he talked about that too in an interview, how he practiced his clean vocals when he got a coach, and then he realized his breathing was incorrect and actually made his screams better. But he was transitioning perfectly. And he's when they did Hit Me Baby One More Time by Britney Spears live, I was like, holy shit, it sounds good. They're killing it. They're killing it. I was like, they're doing great. So
I gotta be honest, I didn't really even I was, maybe just wasn't paying attention that much, but I was like, I noticed his clean vocals a lot. I didn't really notice his screaming. like at all in that song. Was it really under the mix or something like that, or was
I
it
was just
layered?
in the Britney Spears cover.
No, in the Breaking the Chain song.
I
Did he
don't.
not scream in that one?
I don't think he did. Did he?
I think he
I
might
can't
have
remember.
screamed a couple times, but it was like so into the mix where I
Yeah.
was like, it was just like part of the overall soundscape versus like having like a standout. I
Well,
want to hear him do more
you
of
know,
that.
we'll get a good NINI music playlist for you, just like with a few songs for you to check out during the week, so we can talk about it next week, so you can see what else they're about. 'Cause I'm really curious. I think that one song is good, but there's some better ones I think that they've done together.
Okay,
100%.
cool.
All right. You want to hear about a strange band breakup?
Yeah, always.
Always. So this is a band that I didn't know about. I just found a random video. Not a random video. Nick Nocturnal did a video on this. It's this band called Gel that was touring with some pretty predominant artists like Volbeat and stuff like that. Or like they were on like shows with Volbeat and many others I can't remember names of right now. But some big artists that they were touring with. So they broke up though. The band broke up. So this is they put up on X. This is what the band posted. Okay, so this is the band here, and I still haven't even listened to the music yet. But so here's how it reads. All right, hey everyone, friends and fams, Gel's no longer a band, and therefore will not be playing any of our currently scheduled upcoming shows. The reason is pretty simple at its core. The former guitar player, Anthony Webster, has committed such heinous acts in trying to forward himself in his musical career that he's done irreparable damage to the band in the process, and it's affected us as human beings more than we can even attempt to explain, to the point of being completely unable to do the band anymore. And by the way, this is him. All right. Right here.
The
right
guy
to
on the left.
Right to the left.
Here, I love how it says, here are some examples. Like the way that you've had this cut off, it says, here are some examples of what he's done. I did not think they were about to list out like evil deeds that he was about to, but you cut it off so that you can't see anything under that. And now you've got me. Like
I've got you.
Yeah, I'm here. Like I need to know these examples now. I hope it's some ridiculous stuff. Like,
dude,
I don't even know.
Dude, it
I
gets
don't wanna guess.
ridiculous. And I'm gonna share a band story with you guys too. I've unfortunately been part of a lot of ridiculous band drama that I wish I was never part of. I'm sure you might have some band stories too. So we'll share our own also. Not as wild as this, pretty close, but not as wild. So I lost my screen here. So, all right, let's see that. He's stolen tens of thousands of dollars from us. And the best part is, the best part, champ, that he left it all on record for us to eventually find. He sounds really smart. I mean, this guy, he does look like someone that would steal a bunch of money. I don't know. My first impression would be like, oh, he looks like a douchebag. Unfortunately, that would be my first impression.
I wonder what kind of music they play. Like, how did you even find this?
I mean, like if I'm judging a book by its cover, I look at this band and I see problems. I don't know why. It just radiates. There's probably problems in this band. And
it looks like they've got Chappelle Roan as their female vocalist. They've got Old Man Eminem in the band also. Jack Black without any facial hair. Yeah, that screams problems.
Yeah, it does. It does, right? So, all right. So he spent it on his own rent, personal food orders, and really whatever else he wanted to, because for a long period of time, no one had access to the bank account or any accounts for that matter, but him. Despite, see, why would you give? I guess every band does give access to one person, right, to handle the financial
I guess
stuff.
so. This is like how the guys let you control all the money. Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, but that's why I'm so transparent with financials. I always sent screenshots of everything, the count, how it was done, and all that stuff. So that's how you got to do it. And I've learned that just from being on the road and dealing with members stealing money. I've had members steal money from the band multiple times. So I was just like, guys, I got it. Here it is. I kept a record all the time. Hey, here it is. Just in case, just in case.
I just want, I at some point they must have because you got to question how long this has been going on for, right? Because at what point are they going, hey, did we make no money last year? right? Like, did we not have an income at all? Like, they had to have questioned this throughout the course of time if he was stealing tens of thousands of dollars from them. So they must have really trusted him. You know, like this must have been like he was probably like their homie from like back in the day. You know, like and he was like, this, I trust him. Like he was best friend. You know,
Hey, and
he's married to my sister's brother. And, you know,
Hey,
blah blah blah.
to be fair, not everybody's judgment of character is on point, you know? There's that too.
That's half the world right there.
Despite numerous attempts to gain access, but you know, we're a band and we should have all had access to those things. Agreed. Oh yeah, he also spent it on truly unbelievable number of OnlyFans purchases and mysterious Cash App transactions, likely in the same lane. Dude.
Yeah.
And I can see why a band would break up already just from this alone. I was in a band called Embrace the Massacre, and we were on our way to get signed, and the old drummer was going around saying wild accusations to promoters and managers, and literally we had to break up the band because like the name just ended up being attached to everything that the drummer was doing behind the scenes. So
it's the worst.
And so I could totally get why the band broke up already. So he posted nude images of band members on Reddit for the whole for the whole world to see. Yup, just casually for who knows what purpose. My question here, champ, when I first read this, it says he posted new images of band members on Reddit for the world to see. For one, how the fuck did he get nude images of the band?
Yeah.
Like, this is why I feel like there's more to the story than just him being a piece of shit. I think it might be a collective piece of shit thing going on there, you know?
Unless he took them without them knowing. I mean, listen, if you're to follow like that little kind of that last two paragraphs right there, I think it's pretty easy to come up with this dude is a porn addict and he's willing to spend all of his money on in life on just like naked chicks, right? So it's like, you know, that shit happens. There are people that get like really, really addicted to that shit and can't get away from it.
Yeah.
It's all OnlyFans, probably Cash App for like, you know, customs.
Yeah.
You know, from like chicks that are making that stuff. And he's got nude pictures that he's posting.
Yeah.
Likely to share with his other porn addict friends.
Ken,
you know, like
Ken said
we don't I'm not sure that he got those pictures without taking them sneakily. You know what I'm saying?
You think it was sneakily, but again, like you have access to your band in the nude. Ken said it was probably after concert orgies. I've been in a lot of bands and there hasn't been. Well, never mind. There was one. There was one not an orgy, but there was a situation where like there was a lot of stuff going on. That's a story for another day.
Happen. But this ain't the 70s. This isn't happening after every show anymore, man. Like, you might get lucky to find one.
I just remembered a very strange scenario when I was in a band called iArtifact, and we ended up in a house, and everyone was just like fucking in each individual room. So yeah, that night was crazy. So, but it wasn't an orgy though. We all had our separate area, okay?
Dude, I remember a night where you and two other men found your ways into a bathtub and hung out in there all night.
Oh, dude, we played a show.
That's probably as close to an orgy as you've gotten for most of your life.
I remember. That's true. I forgot about that. I should post B-roll for that at some point.
I wasn't the one night that I wasn't there. You guys all ended up in the bathtub.
I know you missed out, bro. You missed out. There was a creepy scenario where Dicodec was playing a show in a New Mexico city where like they're not New Mexico City, sorry, in Texas. It was in a city in Texas, and I can't remember. It's one of the oil town cities where like there's nothing to do at all, and Houston? It's either you like do.
That's Houston.
No. I mean, it's way. I can't remember the name of the city to save my life. But anyways, it's like a town. I'm gonna just say Alamogordo. It wasn't Alamogordo, but Alamogordo, New Mexico is a great example of this, where there's nothing to do. All you do is fuck, have kids, and do drugs. Right? That's pretty much your only option of entertainment, apparently, for everyone that's out there. It's like an ongoing thing. Oh, and going to grand openings of fast food restaurants. Everyone loved going to grand openings of fast food restaurants. I remember I opened Carl's Jr. out there. We did like $100,000 in a week. It was insane. Like it was just
a
insane.
Different life than I've ever lived. What's going on over there?
But anyways, we got done playing a show, went to a house party, Eric and I awkwardly sat on the couch because we weren't drinking. Everybody else was getting drunk. And we saw one girl just like walk into a bathroom. And literally, Eric and I counted too. We saw 7 dudes go in that bathroom with that one girl.
Jesus.
Right? And God knows what was going in there. But also, her fiance came in the front door and looked at Eric and I like, hey, have you seen my fiance? And we're like, we think she's in the bathroom. That's probably the closest to an orgy that I've seen, or I wasn't a part of it, but we were on the outside looking in.
Was he accepting of this?
He walked into. I gotta say, I can see why this happened with this girl because he was way too chill about it. He walked in there, walked back out, looked at us with this face, and just walked out the door. I guess it's probably the best thing you could do. What are you gonna do? Fight 6 dudes?
No, you're getting a divorce, right? Like, or you're a preemptive divorce right there. Yeah, I don't know, man. It reminds me of that one chick. Who's that one girl that's having sex with like 100 guys in a day right now?
Oh,
you hear about this one girl?
Yes.
She just has like a line of men that like hang out outside her apartment, and they just like walk in, and then she talks about it as, I mean, I guess she's making a fuck ton of money, but like, Jesus Christ, dude, what are you doing to your body?
But anyways, let's get back to this. This gets worse, so let's keep going. Yep, just casually for who knows what purpose. Let that one really sink in. So he did that all while still in a band with us too. By the way, luckily, he's truly terrible at covering up his tracks, so we have the receipts to prove that one too. I just want to, I'm going to mention again, I want to know how he got nudes of the band. I really do. Please, like Ken said, probably orgies. But he put us in physically dangerous situations numerous times, from talking shit on the band, Twitter, and getting our van window smashed in with a baseball bat. That reminds me of Embrace the Massacre. That's what happened to the drummer. He was just talking so much shit all the time to promoters and stuff. To regularly driving erratically like a psychopath because he was upset for, again, who knows what reason. Oh, yeah, he wouldn't let anyone else drive either, by the way. So we just had to deal with it. What? I feel like there's missing shit in this. I really do. It's like one of those situations where I really want to hear his rebuttal to this. I really do.
The problem that I'm having with this, I agree, is that there's not. Why was the rest of the band just so okay with this guy being in power, in control with everything? So you're gonna let him drive even though he's a freak.
He had to be a main writer. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, or he's okay. So we know that he was in control of the money also, and I wonder if the reason that they put him in control of the money is maybe because he already had some kind of sense of accounting or ability to do something like that. So they were relying on him for something that they didn't want to do, right? So probably a collection of things that he was responsible for, and they felt would possibly hurt the band or whatever to try to
champ?
Get in the middle of it.
You ready for this next one? And throwing things at us because he's a little fucking baby and can't handle himself like an adult. I'm sorry, if any human is fucking throwing things at me, fuck that. I'm out.
Yes, me too. That's the thing. I'm really struggling to be why didn't you guys walk out of the fucking room or throw something back? Did we look at the same picture of this guy? I'm sorry, but I could beat that guy up. You know what I mean? If he threw a shoe at me, he's getting beaten down by a shoe.
What's fascinating? All these stories are coming out of one band. See, I was in multiple bands and have dealt with similar situations. Eric and I were in a band called Against Edge, and we were sitting there. I had taken the drummer's job, actually. So the drummer and I were working on a song, and he was messing up a Godsmack cover. So I was showing him how to do the drum beat for the Godsmack cover. And he's like, okay, and then he got it down or whatnot. And so we were doing covers and originals mixed together. And we're sitting there and writing, and we're going over a song, right? And he's like, I need everyone to stop playing, because he was trying to figure out or listen to the song. And we're like, cool. We're like, whatever. He's listening. I accidentally hit a note on my guitar and made a noise. Yeah, and to be fair, very annoying. You don't want to hear somebody fucking start playing. He had told us to stop multiple times, right? So I did stop. But his immediate reaction was he threw a drumstick at Eric's fucking face. And it was me that hit the guitar note. It wasn't even Eric. He threw it, and then we were all just fucking stared at him. And that was the end of it, dude. We kicked him out like immediately afterwards. We walked away from his house, took our equipment, sent him a message saying, "Hey man, we're going to move on without you." It was like simple as that.
I don't blame you for that, man, cuz just like in general with life, like it's not about.
You want to hear his excuse though? His excuse was like, I wasn't trying to aim for his head. I was aiming for not his head. So you guys would take me serious. I'm like,
nah, sorry, man. Like, I mean, you gotta act a little bit more like a grown up, like in general. You know what I mean? Like, I had a teacher that did something like that to me once. I fell asleep in his class and he threw chalk at me, and then like he hit me right in the head with it. And I woke up, obviously. I was like, dude, my friend next to me was like, dude, teacher just threw chalk at your head. And I was asleep, so I didn't notice. But I got up and he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was just trying to throw it by you so that you would wake up. And I was like, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like that's not okay either, man. You can't throw shit at me. I don't care if I slept in your class. Like it's a different level, right? So
yeah.
in this situation also, dude, like the thing is, it's about how you handle situations when there is like a little bit of tension or stress.
Yep.
Right. Like it's not about how you handle things when everything is good. It's about how you handle things when like there's a little bit of something to work on. And if your immediate reaction or response is start whipping shit at your boys, then there's a problem.
Exactly. So absolute misery and inconsideration for anyone and everyone around him. Well, except for the people who he wanted to impress and would feign being a nice guy to. Yeah, that sounds classic, you know.
Now, before you keep going on this, I just want to say that, like, as much as like obviously this guy seems like a huge problem, the way that this is written, it comes off as so like juvenile that it's making it harder to take the word seriously. Like they're writing this like a 13-year-old girl would write this about like her friends that like just didn't come over to her sleepover the other night. You know what I mean? Like where I'm just like, if you're gonna write some like really serious shit like this, like stop throwing in the LOLs and the dot dots and stuff like that. But this dude posted pictures of us nude online.
So
LMAO! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Like, nobody's gonna take your shit seriously if that's how you say.
Yeah, that's why. Like, I want to hear a rebuttal. I really do. We'll keep an eye on this story. I'm really curious to see if anyone says anything else about it. But now I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, well, why didn't you just stop dealing with it? Yes, we were.
Hey,
yes.
there we go.
Yeah, yep. You read our mind. Why didn't you just leave? If you ever been in an abusive relationship, emotionally and or physically, you'll probably understand this better. I get that. I do, but
there's 5 of them.
There's 5 of them. yeah, there's 5 of them. It's like that. But with your life's work and passion at the forefront as well, it's not so easy to just give up something that you care so much about, especially with pressures from the outside organizations, people, etc., that are all counting on you in some way. And now I do we'll comment in a second on this. So we wish that this could have all been easier, and we wish that it didn't have to end this way. We're fighters though, and we saw it through to the very end, and it simply couldn't go on anymore, and we're proud of that. So, and then to go on to say, on that note, we'd like to send our most sincere, deepest apologies to anyone who this is affecting on a personal level and beyond. We know so many of you were counting on us, including Spiritbox, Volby, and our good friends at Anxious. We are so sorry that we have to end it this way, and we truly hope for the best for all of you. Thank you so much to the friends we've made over the years, and thank you so much to our fans for always being there for us and showing us how much you care. Take care of each other and love your friends. Love, Gel. So I understand that because I let the original lineup of Dicodec go on too long. It was a very toxic relationship, as in the verbal, not like anything physical. Luckily, you know, it was a lot of people not doing their part or whatnot in the band, and we're trying to get it going, and we let it go on for like 6 years. And it was one of those moments that I learned, why did I let it go on that long when you got to hurry up and move on? You know, because I've been in a lot of bands where it's like almost like, you know, getting some headway and then it just falls apart. Like something happens, singer leaves a band, things like that. Many stories like that. But yeah, Dicodec was one of those situations where like they would play emotional games with band members in the group, and it was just too much. So that was like the original lineup. And it's one of those things that I was thinking, you know what, I kind of get her, but kind of don't. You know, but that was more of a verbal thing. Nobody was like trying to throw stuff out. But there was one member that started getting hardcore into drugs, almost got us in plenty of accidents and stuff like that. Unfortunately, been in 2 bands like that, had to quit a couple. that had those similar situations. So I get it.
Yeah.
But obviously I learned from Dicodec original lineup, and then for the other bands I was in, I immediately quit. Like as soon as I see something not gelling, like I just ended the band that I was in with Coma. The same thing already started coming up. One of the members started saying a bunch of wild shit and was doing some wild shit on the side. I'm like, I can't be involved, and I had to quit. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not pushing this any longer, you know? So
And that's the right thing to do in that situation. It is tough for a lot of people to stop something that they care about, especially like, okay, this will actually lead me into a different point that's kind of similar, but before I get into that, I do there's a part of me that goes like, if you put yourself into their situation and you just think about this for a second, why didn't they just replace this guy? Right? Like if they still have the rest of the band and they have a tour lined up, why not just replace this guy?
yeah.
Generally that means that he's irreplaceable, right? So it's like, if you can't just replace this guy because he's irreplaceable, then you're probably more willing to put up with his bullshit because of that.
So
So you were probably right the first time when you said that he's probably the main writer, you
Yeah,
know,
he
or
had to be.
something along the lines where like, if he's not a part of the band, there's no music anymore, you know? So
It's hard.
that's what makes it so difficult.
So, Janice said the main question, why not replace him? Because it doesn't work. In Embrace the Massacre, we replaced the drummer, and the people that were going to sign us, it just made them uncomfortable with it, and they just didn't want to sign us. So when that happens, that gets around in the industry really fast, and you just have to let it go.
It does,
Unfortunately,
but in this situation, they already had a tour lined up, so you would think that they, by replacing him, it would be acceptable to what they were doing currently. So they've got to be thinking to the future beyond this tour. Well, sure, we could replace him for this tour, have somebody come in and play his parts, but what
That's true,
happens
too.
after that?
But
So the fact that they're calling it quits tells me that it's more than just
it has to
they
be,
need a
right?
guitarist.
It has to be
It
more
has
than
to
just
be.
the main guitarist. It has to be.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, if I judge a book by this cover, looking at the band, it looks like there's more issues than just the guitarist.
Right,
I
right.
don't know why. Just my gut is telling me that. You can fucking give me shit about it in the comments, but like my gut tells me there's probably more issues, way more issues that we're not
I
aware
wanted to
of.
bring this up because this just reminded me of this, but it's like, so the rest of this band, likely, like I said, they're on this tour with like Spirit Box and Volbeat and stuff. These are known bands, known
Yeah.
commodities in our current generation, right? And to the past, Volbeat's been around for a
Yeah.
fucking long time. So they're probably going, holy shit, we get to have the opportunity to legitimately live like our dream right now. So they have to go. Do we try again somewhere else
Yeah.
down the line, or do we try to push this through? That reminded me of, and I'm sorry for all the people that hate the K-pop talk, but there's a K-pop group out there called Everglow right now,
Yeah.
and they've been around for 6 years. One of the members recently, just last week, came out and said that in the 6 years that they've been a group, none of them have gotten paid once, but they keep doing it. Now, this is a group that has 3.15 million listens per monthly. They've got songs that are in the hundreds of millions of views.
Yeah.
Okay. Never seen a dime for all their work. They go on world tours, they do releases, music videos, $0. Why do they keep doing it? Because this is their dream. They want to go tour around the world as musical artists.
Yep.
So they're going, as shitty as this is, that we've never gotten paid once for all of our hard work that we've spent all of our time doing. They're still willing to do it anyway. And it's the musician's dream, right? Like,
Yep.
we're willing to put up with more bullshit than most other people in other careers.
Dude,
I
that's
think
a really good point, and I just had to learn my limit just recently. Like I had a tour offer, but it was just going to be for a roadie position, and it was for 30 days, and I'm like, Alan, and my reasoning for doing it was to be more in the scene, get my face out there, so I can get into a band that's touring and doing stuff, because that's ultimately what I want to do. I want to perform.
Exactly.
You know? But then I had to tell myself, like, but that's not really helping you. It's just helping you be a good worker, you know, as a roadie. And I'm like, no, I want to actually play. So I'm happy I decided to not do the tour, you know, and all of a sudden I started playing with more bands, right? So I get what you're saying, because I did sacrifice at that moment saying, I would need to do anything I can to get on this, but then I was like, no, you need to be more selective, and that's like exactly why I just like quit that coma band just recently. I got like as soon as I see a sign of shit going down, I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can't afford to waste any more time like with stuff like that because I
But
already
it's-
did it
but
in the
it's-
past. You know?
But it's tough because the music industry itself is not very like conducive to musical artists.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
why dealing with these Japanese artists has been great, or even like what NINI music from Taiwan, great. I've been very fortunate to deal with some of these other bands, you know, from different cultures, and it's been so much more chill. It's crazy how much more chill it is sometimes than when I'm dealing with American artists and groups. Not all of them. Not saying all of them. It just tends to be a lot of them, but for the most
there-
part,
I think
you know?
well, there's obviously the cultural difference, but it's also like the
yeah.
the way that people get paid differently in the
True.
music scenes. Like what you sent me an article, I'm not sure how long ago, but I watched the video or read the article or whatever, and it was all about how artists are getting paid on Spotify. And
Yeah, we're gonna go over that article today. Yep.
right, so just that kind of goes into all of this, where it's just like the idea that it's not the industry itself is not friendly to the people that are performing in the industry, makes it so that the people that are performing in the industry are just generally have a willingness to go above and beyond because they already feel like they're getting screwed.
Yep.
So it's like I'm willing to push this as hard as I can to maybe get over that hump, get over that level, because this is the only thing I want to do.
Yeah.
Right. And it's different than other genres of career, I think.
Well,
because of that.
since we're on it, let's go ahead and play this video about what Spotify's doing or what
Nearly
artists are feeling
every
about it.
song ever recorded for just about $12 a month, or free if you don't mind the ads. But while the streaming giant Spotify has conquered the music industry, many of those responsible for the music on the platform, the artists themselves, say they're getting a raw deal. It's part of our arts and culture series, Canvas.
At this year's Grammys, a plea from one of pop's biggest stars, Chappell Roan, in her speech accepting the award for Best New Artist.
I told myself if I ever won a Grammy and I got to stand up here, I would demand that labels and the industry profiting millions of dollars off of artists would offer a livable wage and health care, especially to developing artists.
Though you don't often hear it on music's biggest stage, it's a common refrain. Despite record profits and nearly a decade of sustained financial growth across the industry at large, many musicians say they're being left behind, and that the rise of streaming is to blame.
It has become enormously more difficult to make a living.
No, I just want to comment here. Like, I get what they're saying and how it can be more difficult, but I also feel it's way easier. But I'm also talking
I was
from
about to say the exact same thing.
but I'm also
So,
talking from a place where I've like broken through, you know, with you guys, with you fans, like, and I've been able to push music also and also appreciate music at the same time. So maybe I'm just fortunate and it's hard for me to see like how difficult it is. But I remember how difficult it was.
Yeah, I don't think
But
so, man.
because when
I don't think it is just that you're fortunate.
Because when I was with like the beginning stages of Dicodec, the reason why I lost members in the beginning, because I preached the YouTube thing. I'm like, guys, we got to do YouTube. It's the only way we're going to make it. We can't do shows anymore. And they thought I was fucking insane. Nobody wanted to do it. And then was like one of the catalysts of why we lost the original members, because they're like, they didn't want to do the YouTube thing. They didn't want to do the social media thing. But I really think social media has made it easier if you do it right.
Huge difference. Huge difference. I think that there's levels to this where the pay comes into, like, okay, so if you're a bottom tier artist, right? And like, you know, you're just starting, blah blah blah, not that many people know you. If this was 30 years ago, chances are you're getting $0 for any of the effort that you're put in your entire career. Like, you might get lucky enough to get, you know, a small group of fans that go to your local shows and buy some merch for you. But the truth is, it's so hard to make money as bottom tier musical artist pre-streaming and social media. Now, as a bottom tier artist, you can at least get some breadcrumbs in there. The problem ends up coming as you get bigger. And then you have this larger window of artists that this artist might be getting, you know, 100,000 views per month or whatever. and they're not getting paid for that 100,000 views per month. They're
Yeah.
getting paid on whatever contract has been made between Spotify and the label or the management team or whatever. So then you start seeing this kind of like decreasing incremental decrease of pay as it comes out. So I do think it's easier to get like a breakthrough as like a small time artist, but I think it's harder to make an active living as an artist with the streaming.
Yeah. I'll let
It's
this play a
more
little
like
bit more.
side gig.
I'll let this play a little bit more. I have some more thoughts on that, but I get what you're saying because I'll talk about it in a second. Let me just play this a little bit further.
Musician since streaming entered the marketplace.
Damon Krukowski has been a professional musician since the late 1980s. He's one of the founders of the influential indie rock band Galaxy 500.
For an independent artist like myself, I never really needed or participated in the mass market. But I still had a career that supported me and the labels I worked with.
He's also a member of the UMAW, United Musicians and Allied Workers, a group of thousands of artists organizing to change working conditions in the music industry. He says the current system isn't working for the vast majority of his peers.
What's changed is that with the concentration in streaming and the concentration in the marketplace to just 3 companies, Spotify, Apple, and Amazon, we have no way around it. We have no other ways to reach our audience and no other ways to market and sell our music.
So like he says there's no other way. He's obviously not keeping up with the trend and the times because obviously there is other ways and a lot of groups have been doing it. Ren is a great example of that. He sells his songs through other services. You can sell your songs through Patreon. To be fair though, it's a pain in the ass because I think only iPhone or like YouTube Music will let you take songs that you downloaded and put it on your phone. Well, no, every phone lets you do that, but you know what I mean? You can't go to, you can still go to the music app on an iPhone and you'll still have all those songs that you downloaded put on there, but you can't put them under Spotify, and that's the problem because everybody uses Spotify. But there is ways around it. If you want to like really support the artist with the streaming and stuff, you can buy the song. And you'll honestly, if you pay $1.29 for that one song, that's still more money than they would get off of you streaming it. Probably.
But
on
what's the
Spotify.
difference? But you got to consider the consumers at that point, right?
Yeah.
So like, what's the difference between the consumers? Because if this was back when I'm assuming his band was popular or whatever, or let's even jump to like the 90s, right? Like let's jump into the 90s and say, if you wanted to hear a song that you didn't own the album of, you were going to illegally download it. Or you just weren't going to hear it.
Yeah.
Or you were going to buy the album. And now people are used to this like whatever this, you could get Spotify for free. You just get the ads or whatever.
Yeah, you get the ads.
Free music all the time. So I hear what this guy's saying and I agree with him like as like an overall idea, but also like you have to consider the consumers here. Why would they go out of their way to pay money for music when they know that they can actively find music for free on a daily basis?
Here's
of
why.
anybody that they want.
Here's why. Because the true fans of the artist, like the really like, they check out everything you do. They do all the songs. They will go to your Patreon. They will download the songs from there instead. They're like, and of course, you're always going to have passing by listeners. Like we'd always talk about marketing is like a circle, right? You have like your core audience that just comes every once in a while, chills and checks out the channel and stuff, doesn't really do much. And you have the ones that kind of slightly engage in there. And you have the ones that like fully engage into the community. And they're going to go out of their way to do it. And I think a lot of the independent artists have proven this already. Just like Knox Hill, very successful at it. Ren, very successful at it. All these artists that have gone independent. A lot of these Japanese bands, very successful with their social media. And luckily, a lot of the fan bases still want to buy CDs. They still want to buy shirts. And I think that's why, like for Bandmate, for example, that's why I think they release so many shirt designs because that is their source of income. They're technically a merch store. Like the band is like a front to the merch store. You're
You're
it's
not
like
wrong.
you're in the clothing business at that point. Like
at least halfway. They've basically got like a clothing industry and a music industry like under their banner. And I really respect the bands and the artists that can go out and do that shit.
I understand that people want to make money off the actual music, but it's time to just get over it and just accept the fact that the music is the gateway to other things to sell, and that's how it's going to be.
I think you've also got to consider, like, listen, I love that, like, yes, as like an former artist myself, I am 100% on board with like you should support the artists that you like financially if you're able to do so. Just as like a general rule, it's the right thing to do. It's a nice thing to do, and it'll keep the music industry going in the way that we want it to go. All that being said, if you are a kid that, or like anybody that has just grown up in the era of streaming and never had to deal with like albums, CDs. I watched a React channel video the other day where one of the teenagers was handed a CD and they were asked, "Do you know what that is?" And they said, "Yeah, kinda." And I was just like, "Wow, that's crazy that kinda even came up right there." But like, like think about it from their perspective. It's like, I've had all this stuff for free. Yes, I can go get a job, like, a 16-year-old, go get a job, spend my small amounts of like, part-time work giving it to these bands that I like, or I can just continue to get like this free music forever. It's gonna be so much harder to get people, just as a general rule, to give money out for music when it's free.
Radio Roffer brought up, this is a complex conversation, but it just caused any random that want to make music looking for a payday. Agreed. This like keeps the random people out of there. Or like this guy where he's not thinking outside the box. Like you can make this happen. Is it easy? No, but you can make it happen. If that's what you choose to do, you could just do music and not get paid for it. Like, it depends on what you're doing music for. Are you doing it for an artistic release, or are you doing it because you want to start a business? If you're choosing the business aspect, it's going to be tough.
Yeah. Also, I don't know this guy's music. I don't know the band that he was in. I've never heard of them before. But based on how he was saying it, he said that he was able to make a career for himself with the previous structure of the music industry.
And the sad thing is, he could still do it. He could still do it since he has that experience. He could start a YouTube channel, start doing commentary about back in the day doing music. Bam, he can pull a Rick Beato. Maybe. I mean,
but I do wonder, like, if he falls into that window of like artists where it's like they went from making it just enough money to get by on their album sales to having to kind of give up on the album sales and go for the streaming, and now they have a contract that pays them much less than they were getting beforehand.
But obviously,
well, if you're a Taylor Swift or something, you've got your own contract with places like Spotify that's going to be individualized to you. You're going to get paid more.
Taylor Swift though, like, is like an exception. I feel like she's just massively big, but there's so many artists that make it by not being massively huge. Of
course, well, make it is really like,
it's very subjective
in quotations, right? Like, what do you consider making it? Because to me, making it would be, I don't need to get a second job. I could just be a musical artist, and this will get me through life. Yeah, that's what making it is for me. And if these guys are saying that like the streaming doesn't do it enough, and there's only so much room in the social media / YouTube sphere for people to like, especially older people that come from like former bands, to like rebuild themselves, rejuvenate their careers through that form. It will get, if they all tried to do this, it would get overexposed so quickly and people would lose interest.
Yeah, for me,
Rick Beato is a special case. So is the guy from I believe in a thing called love.
Well, no, I don't think there's special cases. Those are people with experience in the industry, and when somebody has authority in that field, you're going to attract people to check out your channel. That's with Dicodec, right? Have the experience of being in bands and being in the studio, working with musicians, and it's grown because of that, and I've been able to make a decent living off of it. Maybe not Rick Beato living off of it, but obviously he's worked with bigger artists, so he has more authority in the space, more than I do, because he has more of that experience, worked with bigger bands. So when it depends on who you're working with, the tier of musicians you're working with, I think escalates it. Fucking Hawkins, he was a one-hit wonder. And he's toured with a bunch of famous musicians, so of course their channels are going to blow up like way faster because people want to
But
see the inside.
there's also the
on that.
skill. Like it's a different skill, right? Like
It is.
Justin
You're right.
Hawkins
It is
can
a
come
different
out
skill.
because he's got fucking charisma out the wazoo, and like people want to hear the guy talk. But there are so many talented musicians that are like in a great band that if they did a podcast
It
for
would be-
20 minutes, you'd be like, I don't give a shit about this guy's boring as hell.
Unfortunately, that's the new landscape, though. Unfortunately, that's
is.
like you better work on your skills with getting in front of a camera and talking because a lot of people
Yeah.
want that. They do.
Yeah, that is where we're living right now. You've got to have like a certain amount of charisma to like sort of like make it on social media, which is going to get you to whatever step of a different career that you want to get to. Well, so many people just use social media as like a stepping stone, YouTube
Yeah.
as a stepping stone to whatever. How many reactors do reaction channels because they want to show their own music off? I mean, I
Yeah.
can name 3 of them right off the top of my head
It's-
that I used to be in a podcast with, and it's like I feel like it's really like.
No.
It makes a lot of sense, but also like if you're like, let's say a 60-year-old guy that used to be in a band and you were just making a living off that type of thing, and
Yeah.
you've never trained to be like a media influencer, you don't have that kind of
Yeah.
like outgoing personality to be able to do something like that. That will hit you right in the middle of your life and go, oh shit, now I gotta like.
Well, let's
fuck am I
play
supposed to
the
do now?
rest of this because he brings up some bills that they're trying to get passed for this.
Years ago, more than 90% of revenue from recorded music came from physical album sales. But today, streaming accounts for 84% of that money. And Spotify, with an estimated 103 million American users,
Wow.
nearly twice as many as
That's like
competitors
double the
like
other
Amazon
services.
I
and
can't
Apple
believe that because I
Music,
use YouTube
dominates
Music.
the
It's
game.
not even on this fucking
And that
list.
I
has
use
big
YouTube Music
implications for
also.
how artists get paid.
Streaming services don't pay per stream, and they also don't pay artists directly.
Liz Pelly is a music
Hey,
journalist.
Nene,
She
welcome.
recently published a book on the company, Mood Machine,
Cool.
The Rise of Spotify and the Costs of the Perfect Playlist. She says the way that Spotify pays means your subscription dollars don't go directly to the artists you listen to. Instead, they fan out across all music on the app by total listening percentage. And even that money goes to rights holders first, like record labels, before it gets to the artists. In
Okay,
2020,
let's pause
that
for a
averaged
second
out
here
to
because
about
the explanation of how they get paid out, it's so strange to me because if you're paying this out by a percentage based on overall streams of the entire sort of network that's put together there has to be levels to what kind of percentage you would get from it, right? Like which means that somebody at the top level, I mean,
Which
the
is
top of
bullshit.
this level,
It's complete bullshit, honestly. That really pisses me off about Spotify, that you have to be a certain tier musician to get a bigger cut. That's just like bullshit to me.
so like, I mean, I understand like if you're bringing more views, you should probably get paid more, but it's the
Oh, because they're
levels.
considering how many people you're bringing to the platform. That's what
Yes.
outweighs
So
everything.
so like I
guess.
do get where they're coming from with that, but it's the levels that kind of fucks me up a little bit because I go, okay, so if somebody's getting, let's say we don't know what levels they're setting it
But
at.
that sucks
'Cause
for
you're-
me because I have songs with like 50,000 listens, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna still be lower tier. You know, that
Yes,
fucking
that's
sucks.
that's where it starts to suck.
Yeah.
That's where the problem lies because then at that point you're going, okay, I could hit it really big with one song and it could mean almost nothing because you're slotted at this tier that's getting this percentage regardless.
Yep.
So it's a really weird system that they're doing, and I'm not sure how long it can last for because eventually, like we had the Taylor Swift thing happen like I don't know what 5 to 10 years ago where she came out and she was like she took all of her songs off Spotify. She said this is not a fair situation for musical artists. She had no music on there for a while, for a year or two I think actually. And then they put it back on
Yep.
because obviously she's big enough that she was able to get a new contract that made more sense for her and her team. But not everybody else can do that. The question is, how many big artists are going to eventually do that same type of thing before they have to adjust the system?
If more big artists do it, then I think they'll make adjustments. Of course they will. They want to stay profitable. They're like one of the most profitable streaming services out there. You know?
Yeah, and she wasn't the only one.
003.
Like, what was it, like Michael Jackson or the Beatles? Some other like really huge
Yeah,
star took
they're
all
about
of
to
their
mention
music
it.
off. Okay.
per stream, which means a musician would need roughly 800,000 monthly plays to equal a full-time $15 an hour job.
The reality
See,
is
they're
that
thinking
the
about
vast
it
majority
very
of that revenue that
basically.
is passed along to the global recorded
agree.
music business ends up being passed along to the major record labels.
And it's not just independent musicians who say they're getting squeezed. In 2014,
Nobody does streaming thinking they're going to be subsidizing their part-time job. No, I don't think any realistic musician is putting their music on Spotify going like, I'm hoping I get at least $15 an hour for this. I don't think anyone's thinking that.
I'll be honest, like as a like independent small time artist, I actually think I would view this in a totally different way as like I would still do all the things that you would have done 20 years ago, you know, to become a musical artist, but I'd also have my music on the stream to bring in, you know, an extra side revenue that's coming in. But I'm still trying to sell my merch and I'm still trying to sell albums and stuff like that.
So this is the part where like Taylor Swift
briefly withdrew her entire catalog.
She
from
withdrew the
platform,
whole catalog,
saying in a Wall Street Journal,
yeah, it was all gone.
Valuable things should be paid for. It's my opinion that music should not be free. And
I don't like her
neo
though.
soul pioneer Indian.
I don't like the way that she says things. The sentiment behind it is fine, but like I actually disagree that like I don't feel like listen, I can't get into her head. I remember when that came out, I very much dislike how what's his name treated Napster, the drummer from Metallica, Lars, because I did feel like we should be able to access this music if you are going to make it difficult for us to be able to get it in the first place. And I kind of felt the same way about what Taylor Swift was saying, where it's like, she's like, okay, I worked hard for this and music shouldn't be free. Well, music is free in a very general sense. I understand you wanting to be paid for the work that you're putting in, but I felt like she ended up putting her stuff back on there because she got what she wanted, but she didn't get anything else for the rest of the musical artists that were on the platform. And she was talking about it as if this is a big problem for musical artists in general. But then, like, you know, she puts it all on there and nothing changes. And she's obviously still a bajillionaire.
But
so it's like, what did you really use your platform for when you spoke up outside of getting yourself more money in this contract?
Be honest, this whole situation is a very nuanced conversation. Like, I don't think there's any right or wrong. It's like, either way, the way I look at it, just go with it. Go with the flow, work around it instead of complaining and bitching about it. There's a way around it. It is possible to make it as a musician. It just takes
This is the way the world works.
It takes a little finessing. You got to change up what you do. You have to have multiple ways to make income. That's what I do. Yeah. I'm working an actual job, and then I also have the YouTube, whatever they want to give me for AdSense, and then the Patreon, and then hopefully some merch here and there, donations from you guys, which I greatly appreciate. All that helps. So for me, like, to keep doing what I'm doing, I'm like, I'm okay with it. I'm just okay with it. I have accepted it.
You've grown with the times, and I feel like you've done a good job of that, of growing with the times. There are also a ton of people that are actively making not livable wages, but making enough money on TikTok to money and notice, like getting enough attention on TikTok where they're able to kind of construct this buzz around them and a small fandom around them, where then once you do that, you do all the things that you would have done 20, 30 years ago in the music industry. But now you've gotten a buzz that you never would have been able to get 30 years ago. So if you view these things like TikTok or YouTube as just an enhancement to advertise your own stuff, then I think that you come away with it with a very different viewpoints. You know, let's take out the curtain a little bit from us as people that have done music reactions for a long time. It's like, if you look at the stuff that you put on YouTube as an advertisement for people to come over to your Spotify or your Patreon or whatever, then not getting paid on those YouTube videos because they all get copyrighted becomes much less of an issue. You're not going into this thinking, I'm trying to make money on YouTube. You're going into this thinking, okay, I'm going to make YouTube videos, and they'll potentially act partially as a advertisement for me as a brand, wherever I might go. And I think that people need to view it like that. I think that they need to use it like that, rather than this is my sole source of revenue or income.
For sure. Anyways, love to hear your thoughts down below. Let us know if you're watching this later. So, got a question for you, man. What do you
Shoot.
have you listened to a lot of Visual Kei bands?
I think every Visual Kei band that I've ever heard would be on my Champa Medium YouTube channel. You know, I know the Gazette.
Okay,
I
so
know Durin Gray.
so what do you think Visual Kei is, or what do you consider the Visual Kei to be as a music?
I mean, if I'm just gonna go from my own perspective,
Yeah,
it
your
is
own
literally
perspective.
like 80s hair metal glam in Japan.
That's what I always thought too. That's what I always referred to it as also. Well, Miyave just did an interview. You guys should definitely check that out. He just did an interview. I forgot the person that he did an interview with, but in a recent interview
It was
with
Zach Sang.
Yeah, on the Zach Sang show, Miyave discusses his journey in Visual Kei music scene, explaining that Visual Kei is a Japanese cultural movement involving dramatic makeup, fashion, and diverse music styles, which I've definitely discovered that there is a lot of diversity in the actual genre, but I almost don't even consider it a genre at this point. It's just more about the style, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it originated before K-pop and has a strong fan base worldwide. He reflects on his early years starting a band at 17 after losing a close mentor, then shares his insights into his 14th album. That's a huge number right there. Lost in Love, Found in Pain, which explores the concept of duality, capturing both the uplifting and darker aspects of life. Miyave emphasizes the importance of expressing personal struggles, acknowledging flaws, and the complexity of emotions. The album's song Mirror Mirror delves into self-disappointment and self-acceptance. Writing such deeply personal songs can be painful, but it helps both the artist and fans feel understood. Miyave reflects on his growth over the years and the vulnerability he has embraced in his music. So I was like, damn, that is quite deep. You guys should check out the clip about it, but a lot of it was going so when I was looking into it is a lot of it's about the fashion. Artists who often wear elaborate androgynous clothing that combines elements of punk, goth, glam rock, and traditional Japanese styles. The fashion is extravagant and can involve heavy makeup, wigs, and dramatic hairstyles. It's a self-expression that goes beyond just the music. And there's another link, and I'll provide it for you guys, where she goes over the different eras of Visual Kei, where they don't always go like extreme with the makeup and the dress. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a whole breakdown on it. But what do you think?
Diet Visual Kei. It's I think that it made a lot of sense what he was saying, because he kept relating it back to like K-pop. He kept bringing that up in the interview, and he's right, because like in the same way that everybody would like hear K-pop and go, oh, that's this kind of music, you know, without having any kind of exploration into the genres itself. You would just assume teeny bop or kind of like, you know, 15-year-old girl poppy stuff, right?
Yeah.
But within the industry itself, you've got like full hip hop groups, you know, that do nothing but rap. There's rock groups, and it's all under the K-pop banner. And it's the same way that he's kind of explaining the Visual Kei.
See, for me, Visual Kei always has the same tonalities in the vocals. It always has that very nasally singing from the mask is what we call it when you're doing voice, like that mask singing where you really lean into the nasal sound. And it seemed like that's the common thread with all Visual Kei bands. However, there's some that don't go full mask with their voice, and they like do a little bit of a mix between mask and their chest. And those are the ones that I do like the most. But for a majority, they always have that nasality like effect to their voice all the time.
I think there are common strings that follow throughout stuff, you know, like that with Visual Kei, and like with K-pop, it would probably be like, you know, group music where the music is split between several members singing, you know what I mean? You. There's like common threads that go through these industries, but I do think that like Durin Gray would be the perfect example to fight against what you just said, right? Where it's like they're technically a Visual Kei band, but like
they've done
like, you know, screaming like a gremlin out there.
But you still have the nasal voice when he goes to clean singing.
Sometimes he does that, but sometimes he's also really deep and really low. And
for sure,
trying to sound scary and creepy.
But my point is like that's what I always thought Visual Kei was, because that was the common thing that I heard. Because when I started checking out other genres of Visual Kei, which is a wild thing to say, but like Jaluka was one that was mentioned, you know, in the chat, like totally Visual Kei, but as super fast, hardcore. melt your face off kind of music. That stuff. Have you checked out Jaluka? I'm sure you have. But
yeah, Jaluka's nasty.
yeah, they're really fucking nasty. But
yeah, apparently, what's someone?
Oh yeah, NINI Music is going to be playing with Visual Kei. That is a weird match, I gotta say. That is a really strange matchup. But shout out to NINI Music if you're still listening. If you haven't seen Jaluka, oh my god, prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for that.
Yeah, Jaluka's nasty. Jaluka reminds me of they're like the ginger of over there to me.
Yeah.
Like they're so fucking heavy, and like they like to experiment a lot within their heaviness. Big fan of that.
There's one band, that's responsible for Visual Kei is X Japan, right? They always mention X Japan as being one of those bands. And it's funny because when I first heard X Japan, I didn't think of it as a Visual Kei band. It just sounded like an 80s band to me when I first heard it. And like online, it says it draws heavily from Western glam rock bands like you had just mentioned, like David Bowie and Kiss, as well as goth and punk culture. Over time, it has developed its own identity with Japanese music and fashion scenes, which I totally agree. Like Visual Kei at this point is like its own fucking thing. It's it's way more developed into something else.
And he goes on in that interview, I'm not sure if it's part of the article, but he goes on later on in the interview to talk about how a lot of it is what he would consider Visual Kei just comes down to like a cultural sort of like acceptance and embracing of just what it is, and a lot of it is gender bending, right? Like he brought up, like it doesn't matter if you're a man, if you're a woman, like this is, we go out there kind of as like a piece of art, right? Like we're like people that are featured in a museum. We're here to be beautiful and give off this impression.
like we've mentioned on multiple streams, confused boner. Somebody said that to Eric on one of the streams.
Said what? That he's Visual Kei?
No, because he's like, wow, that person's really hot. And then somebody's like, oh, that's a dude. And he's like, oh,
yeah.
They were like confused boner.
Yeah, there it is, right? Because it's like, it's not even like when I see like the stuff like that, there's like not even like a sexuality behind it to me. Honestly, it's just it's like looking at like a beautiful piece of art in a museum, right? Where it's like they have like all of this crazy makeup on and they look like they're from a different era, and it's all just about like this sort of like, and there's not supposed to be any judgment. Like that's part of like the Visual Kei. Like we do this with no judgment, and we love to have this kind of aura around us, and I respect it for that. At the end of the day, I feel the same way about a lot of the music as I do about power metal, where because of what you just said with like the nasality in the voice that gets continued through the thread and stuff like that, I do end up getting turned off to a lot of the music. I think just it ends up, it's this vibe that I'm not like really super into personally. I like stuff that's a little heavier, and if you're going to put on some makeup, I kind of want you to like put on Gwar type of makeup for me, but like but no hate, like no judgment, whatever. If you love that shit, you love that shit, like I love Guns N' Roses growing up, and they're as close to Visual Kei as you get over in the West.
I never thought I would get into Visual Kei, but I have definitely grown to like certain bands and certain genres of it, like Jaluka, phenomenal, and the Gazette has like random songs I enjoy a lot, but Mass specifically was a fantastic album by the Gazette. It was just a masterpiece of an album from front to back. So there is definitely Visual Kei bands that I have grown into for sure. I can't remember any of the names right now, but the one that always stands out for me is Jaluka, 100%. I will listen to that band forever. Jaluka is fucking amazing. I love that. So I do like Visual Kei bands, but I'm definitely more pickier when it comes to certain ones.
Yeah, I think that every genre has like its own, if you find the best of any genre, like I could get into it.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. You can't even call Visual Kei a genre. It's like, because Visual Kei has genres in it. Like like Jaluka sounds nothing like if you're like think about X Japan, like those are two completely different styles of music.
Not even close.
But they're both fucking Visual Kei. What the hell?
Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
Again, it's the same. It's the same thing. That's why I kept bringing up K-pop, because like if you're gonna listen, to
Kizu is the other Visual Kei band I really like a lot. That's right. I forgot. That's I gotta show you some from them.
But yeah, like he kept bringing up K-pop because it's the same situation. Like if you were to listen to like a fucking like XG, for example, is my favorite kind of group right now, and they've got songs that are just like fully 100% rap. There's no singing in it at all. And then there's bands like Twice,
Yeah.
where it's mostly like teeny bop or poppy music. Like they've
Mm-hmm.
got some deeper stuff. I don't want to
Yeah.
totally put them into that box, but like you're generally going to hear that. These are two totally different kinds of music
Yep.
to me. Like I'm not really listening to Twice, but I'll listen to XG. But they're both going to fall under the
Well,
same
like
bag.
Solemn just said, Visual Kei is an umbrella term. I completely agree.
Yeah, exactly. These aren't genre terms. These are industry terms,
Yeah.
right? So like, and you could probably do Visual Kei. You could probably have like a Visual Kei style and come out there and do literally anything. Like, would Kiss be considered Visual Kei if they were out
I mean,
in Japan?
glam rock is Visual Kei. I mean, if you really wanted to say that,
Right,
I think you
right.
could easily
So
say that.
we're kind of like we're pulling hairs at this point. It's just
Yeah, for sure.
It's a large. It's more about the visuals and the subculture surrounding it rather than the music itself.
I completely agree. Guys, it's been a blast of a show. I hope you guys have been enjoying the podcast. This is our second one, so we love doing this.
Fun show. Thanks for the comments, guys. I love seeing the chat active over here, asking questions.
Heck yeah. We're and if you guys didn't know, follow us on Twitch. We do the stream over on Twitch also. And we have reactions. We'll put up the one reaction that Champ and I did right now over on the Patreon for early access. If you guys want to support us further, you can go ahead and check that out too. We're doing this every Sunday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. If you guys want to share articles with us, please go to our Discord server and drop those articles in there. We took a lot of these from you guys, so thank you so much for sharing these stories with us. It was a blast to talk about it. Anything you
we
guys
want to talk about whatever you guys think
Yeah.
is cool to talk about, because like that ends up being the fun stuff for us to talk about too.
Yeah.
So give us whatever you
like
want.
this,
So.
like the strange band breakup, the Visual Kei that you guys shared with us. That was very fascinating. Just hear Miyavi's side of it, and he made me more of a fan of him, honestly, after that interview. And this is why I love band interviews. This is why I love them.
Also, shout out to the Zach Sang Show, because he's brought on a bunch of Asian artists, a lot of them who don't speak fluent English also, and he makes them feel like really comfortable and gets them out of their shells, and they're able to talk a lot. If you have any interest in like hearing like an Asian artist do an English interview, check out his show. He's done it a lot and he's really good at it.
Yep. All right, guys. I'll see you all later on Twitch. I'm going to be doing reactions in the next 10 minutes or so. Just going to take a 10-minute break, but go on Twitch right now. You guys have a good one. Love you all. See you.
Ciao.